This is Daniel O'Reilly of Drogheda United. You are watching Irish Footy Vlogs. Please subscribe to the channel.
Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another Premier Division preview video. We've a full fixture list this weekend. Every game in the Premier Division is on a Friday night. Keno, I think we'll start off with what I think is the biggest game of the weekend. Waterford FC take on Finn Harps at the RSC. 4 points between them in the table. Massive match. We've only a couple of games to go, really. You know what I mean? We've 7 games to go, actually, isn't it? Have they got 7 games? Yeah, they've both 7 games to go. So if Finn Harps win puts them 6 points ahead of Waterford. A Waterford win puts them a point behind. It's a massive game, isn't it, at this stage of the season, really?
Yeah, it's all happening up now down there. I think every game matters. Every single match is so important at this stage of the season. Right away from, I would say, from 9th position right up to 4th. I think every team, it's a must-win game every week. For the whole context of the league and to keep it interesting, I think everyone would love a Waterford win here, and it just tightens everything up again. I think if Finn Harps avoided defeat here, I'd say they'll go a long way to staying where they are and not having to really worry. But
do you think they'll play it that way, Keane? Do you think their mindset will be like that, avoid defeat, or do you think they'll just play it normally as such?
I think they're going to play it as normal. Yeah. But there's a lot to play for. You know, the difference, people don't realise that the difference between Premier Division and First Division is massive for the people involved in the clubs. You know, all of a sudden you go from being a volunteer to be a part-time staff member or something like that. So it's big implications on anyone. So, you know, it's so important down there. I find it hard to call it, but I'm going to go for Waterford to win it and just make everything look that little bit tighter down there again.
Yeah, Daz, I'm going to correct myself here. Finn Harps win puts them 7 points clear of Waterford. That would be a huge gap, wouldn't it, at this stage of the season if they could go down there and get a win. It's not going to be easy, though.
Like, this could be for both teams season defining in a way. Like, you know, if they can go and win this game and it puts them 7 points, like you said, that's a massive gap to have coming into the closing stage of the season. And any club that's down there is going to want to go and try and win the game, and they're going to try and want to have that much points difference if they can, if they're in that position to do so. But I know Keno said he thinks, you know, Harps are going to go out and play it, but I think it'll be the opposite. I think Harps are going to go out, they're going to defend. I think they're going to just try and either play for the draw, but it's absolute must that they don't lose. And I think that's how they're going to set up. And Ollie Horgan is always difficult to beat towards the end of the season, like I've always said. Like, he's done it numerous times, but I think it's going to be a very scrappy game because I think both teams, they might be a bit naive, a bit afraid to go for it because they don't want to get caught and counter attacks or have players gone forward and not have enough players back. And you know, I can see it being scrappy enough that way because there is a huge, like, so much at stake at this game for both teams. Like, you know, especially coming this close to the season, like, you don't want to lose this game at all. So it's going to be very hard, I think, for both teams.
Yeah, I think Waterford don't have to play with the mentality like we have to win the game. Not necessarily. They don't necessarily have to win the game. They could get out of it anyway. But I think they might be a bit more forceful in the game. Obviously, you keep it tight early, but I think second half, if it's tight enough, and as Keno says as well, if Finn Harps do defend, Waterford have to go at them. They have an array of talent at Waterford now going forward. Patterson has been excellent, hasn't he, Keno, the last few weeks, actually? In particular, him, actually.
Yeah, fantastic for them, and you know, but Finn Harps have the players that can hold them as well in terms of Tundi in the last couple of games, and you know, if he gets in behind, I find it very hard to stop him. So it's going to be a good occasion. But I think if anyone wins it, it's going to be a goal each side, and it's going to be, I'm not going to say a lucky break, but it's going to be a moment of magic or something like that. That's probably going to win the game, or a turn of pace either side of either end of the pitch, and I think that's going to be the difference. But it's going to be tight. I'm going to go for Waterford, and I think they'll tighten the gap, and you know, it looks good then for the next couple of weeks.
Who are you going with?
Yeah, I actually think it's going to be a draw. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. I think it's going to be very tight, and I don't think either team's going to really go out for it. But like you said, though, Waterford have to play how they were playing and go out and try and get the result against Harps. But I think equally Harps will just shut up shop, and I think it'll be very, very difficult to beat. And I think for that reason, that's why I'm going to go with a draw. Both teams, like said, have players that can hurt each team, but I'd actually hate to see either team go down out of the league. But obviously, there's a huge fight in both of these teams to be where they're at. So I think it's going to be a draw for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Waterford to win myself. I think home advantage will be key. I also think, though, if they lose, and they know that as well, that's probably highly likely they're going to finish ninth. If they lose, there'll be 6 games left, and their teams around them are picking up points. They'd be 7 points behind, 8th place. So yeah, I think Waterford might do enough to win the game. We'll move on to Bohemians and Dundalk at Dalymount Park, and start off with you, Daz, with this one. They only played a few weeks ago, and what was a very enjoyable game to watch, I must say. Finished 2-1 to Dundalk, but it was just like a basketball match. It's great. Do you know what's funny? When you're neutral, it's great to see, but if that's your team, you're not liking it. That kind of way. You're kind of going, this is too open for me. But as a neutral, it's fantastic. I won't be surprised if this was a similar game at Dalymount Park, Daz, and obviously it's still an important game for both sides. Bowes will still think there's a chance they can get into Europe even, but they're struggling a little bit as well, though, aren't they?
Yeah, if you look back in that one game against Dundalk at the time a few weeks ago, I think a lot of people forgetting how poor we were in the first half, and all this kind of came out in the second half. So I think if we start off like we were in the first half, we don't have a chance against Dundalk this time. We have to actually start the way we started in the second half of that game. I know that's very, very difficult to do, but to show they could do it and it could sustain it for a full half, and it just wasn't acceptable the way they played in the first half, and really put us in the back foot by playing like that. And we definitely can't approach this game, it's the same manner. We have to go at Dundalk and go at the off and try and exploit them and get an early goal. I think the first goal in this game will be crucial. Obviously, we bet Longford 4-1, but disrespect to Longford, I think it was kind of expected Bohs to get a good win against them. So obviously a win's great. You're getting confidence, a few players getting a few goals, and obviously Mullen's getting on a score sheet as well, which is good for our young players' confidence. But you have to kind of disregard that result now and move on to the next one. Dundalk are they're in such better form than what they were in 6, 7, 8 weeks ago. They're beating teams around them now. They've picked up a few big, massive results. A few key players that we've been saying just weren't performing this season are finally starting to step up and show what they can do. And when they do play, they're very hard to beat. When they actually do sit up and play together, they're a very hard team to beat, and they should be. And I think now teams are starting to catch us. The results that we didn't pick up in recent months are starting to hurt us, and we're actually going to start falling down to 6th, 7th. I think now we don't start picking up more results because there's not too many points in it with the teams below us. And Dundalk actually, they could move into our place if they beat us. Obviously, they have the game in hand then, we have a game in hand then as well. But you don't want that. You want to be in the front first. You want to be the team with the points. You want to be the team in the highest league position that you can be in. But I think it's going to be a very, very difficult game for both teams, and both teams are kind of going to be expected to win or get something out of the game. And so that's going to say it's going to be a great game again for the neutrals, I think. But from a Bohs fan, I think it's going to be, nervy enough. We need to get a result if we want to keep pushing for Europe. And Europe is a bit of a distance, thought now. I just want to keep finishing up high as we can go. If you look at Derry, they're 4th, and a few weeks ago they were 9th or 8th. I wouldn't have thought they would be in 4th now where they're at. So that's showing our teams that got stronger as the season went on, and they've picked up results, but we haven't. And that's something we need to change to turn around for the remaining part of the season.
Yeah, Cian, Daz makes a good point there as well, actually. Bohs, they're a team that nearly have to go in front in the game, aren't they? They rarely get a team back or get back from 1-0 down and say win a game 2-1 or whatever. It's the grinding out thing again that they struggle a little bit, although, as we've said a million times, they're swashbuckling to watch, aren't they?
Yeah, I think Bohs are probably nearly better off scoring in the last minute to win it.
Yeah.
Keeping a 0-0 for as long as they can and nick a winner. But look, it's not always the case. I don't think they're sorry, Daz, but I think Europe is out of the question. And I think it has been for probably since the Derry game. Since that 2-2 Derry game, I think Europe has gone. All the celebrations that night, they looked fantastic. It was a great game. But then when you go home and you realise, look, there was great celebration, great goal from Georgie that night. But everyone was jumping around the lights. When you sit home then the next day, that was only a draw. That's Europe gone. That's what was going through my head. I still think they're gone for Europe. They're only.
I don't know, if we beat in the final now in the Aviva Stadium, we've got Europe back.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think Bows are.
Well, you'd have to hope that Pats beat Dundalk as well, Daz.
And Bows beat Waterford.
So there's still a lot there, but anyway.
Yeah, I do. I think Bows only avenue for the cup or for
I agree.
Europe is the cup. I genuinely cannot see Bows finishing fourth or third. Even if they finish fourth, they're probably still not guaranteed the cup. So, or still not guaranteed Europe. So, I think it's a way out of the question for them. I think they just need to get the performance right for next week, in my opinion. I think that's their big game next week for both teams, probably. I'm going to say Dundalk will win this. And I haven't said this a lot this season, but I just think Dundalk are a little bit better at grinding games out, especially in the last couple of weeks than Bows have been all season. So that's the reason I'm going to go for the Dundalk win. Like I said, I don't think it means anything for Bows. I don't think they're going to be dragged into anything down there, but I still don't think they're going to finish in Europe. So, I think it's a bit of a let's get the performance right on the pitch for next week type of thing. Dundalk are still in a little bit of a dogfight, but I think last week kind of shut a few people up with the win, and I have a feeling Dundalk will go and win this. I just hope they're not too good for the cup week next week. But other than that, I just think they'll get the result. They'll come away with it. But I can't see Bows winning. Put it that way. I think it'd be a draw if
I'd be a bit like that as well. No, I think so as well. And for that reason, I'm going to go for a draw on this one. Did you give a prediction, Daz? You're not getting away with it.
I'm going to go with a 1-0 win. Georgie Kelly. We're going to focus on Dundalk. We're going to get results. We're going to go in with confidence to the game next week. Come on, boys.
Derry City and Pats at the Brandywell. And this is a similar situation, I think, in many ways, because the only difference is with Pats here is that Derry have something serious to play for. Keane. They'll be disappointed with their defeats to Shamrock Rovers of the week. With Sligo in action against Shamrock Rovers, Derry will feel Pats could be there for the taking because, as you say, Pats have had little niggles and injuries and things like that. They have a massive, massive game next week. They're in a position in the league, Pats, where they can kind of grind along and get a few results here and there and still finish second in the league, which kind of lends to what you've been saying about the focus on next week. You could go out on the pitch and be a Pats player and think, yeah, I'll give it my all. But when it comes to it on even a subconscious level, it's in the back of your mind. Cup game next week, not getting injured. I think this could be a difficult one for Pats, if I'm honest with you, with Derry, how good they are as well.
Yeah, I think Pats will do very, very well to come out there with a draw. Yeah. And that's me being honest. It's going to be a tough game. The Brandywell is one of the toughest places to go in the league. Every game is tough. But even when Derry were shite the last couple of years, they always had, you always got a tough game up there. And, they never let you play up there. They're always on the front foot. No matter who they have, no matter who they're playing and who's in the starting team. The last couple of weeks have been fantastic for them, and everything is on the up with them, with the new owners coming in and signing players for next season and everything. But they've still an awful lot to play for this year, and I have a feeling that Derry are going to really go and take Pats if they can. On the other side, I think Pats are very, very good at grinding teams out and getting results when we're not playing as great or when we're under the cosh a little bit. Pats are probably the best team in the league at not losing when you're not playing well.
Outside of Rovers, I'd say, Keane, to be fair. Outside of Rovers, I'd have to say. But they're up there, no doubt.
Well. But, I think there's no other teams really like Pats and Rovers there that if you're not playing well, don't lose type of thing. And I think Pats do that really well, especially away from home. But it's going to be a cagey one, I think. Pats are probably in the best position they have been in terms of we have a full squad apart from John Mountney. And
Pats can afford to lose the game. That's the honest truth. Pats can actually afford to lose this game. O'Donnell's not going to go out and say that to the players or think that, but they actually, they can afford to lose it. That's the point. That's the position they're in.
It's tough. It's tough as well to go out and lose a game with such a big game next week. I think take a point take a point out of the Brandywell. Fantastic result. I'll be delighted with that. And else I'll be going mad up there. But you know what, more than a draw to be delighted. But I fancy a draw here. But you know, I'd like to go up there and at least celebrate a goal. So I'm gonna say a score draw. There'll be nothing worse than a 0-0. But you know,
well, there would be a 4-0 defeat.
but, you know, I'll take a score draw, just something to celebrate.
Yeah, Daz, how do you see this one? I mean, Derry are 4 points behind Sligo, and as I said, they'll see this as an opportunity with Sligo playing Shamrock Rovers away to reel Sligo in. How do you see this one?
Like, Derry hasn't been like where they're at in years. Which is, like, how many years has it been since Derry have been fourth and like this late into the season saying
a good season under Devine, I think, to finish in the top 4, but that was kind of against the grain a little bit.
Yeah, like that's not too long ago. Like, but since then, they haven't been kind of where they're at the minute. And obviously, with investment coming in, players that they signed already, Higgins doing an absolute fantastic job with them. Like, the fans are out in numbers to them every week. They're picking up results all the time. They're very, very hard to beat. You know, even against there's teams where they were losing, they came back and scored in the last few minutes. And but obviously, you know, Pats and Rovers or the Masters are doing that. So they, like you said, they can go and just not really play well and get results. It's what I was trying to say to Philip there a few weeks ago about, you know, Rovers can turn up and not really play well and get a last minute winner.
Yeah.
You know, it shows quality that both teams possess, but it's definitely going to be a hard game for both teams. But I think it's going to be hard for Pats because, you know, Derry are they're going to want to stay where they're at. They're in great form at the minute. They've got winning mentality, winning momentum, as do Pats, but their heads are going to be slightly turned, like we said, with the cup coming up, and they can afford a lose. Hopefully that doesn't get into the players' heads, because that might make the play a little bit off from what they would play, but I think it's going to be very difficult. But I do see it as being a draw as well. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. But I think Derry will probably play very well, and Pats will just nick a draw towards the end. And like Keno said, they'll be delighted with the result, and that would be a fantastic result for both teams, I think, as well.
Yeah, I think Keno's going to hate me. I think Derry might clinch this one, but I'll give him a goal. I'll say it's 2-1 Derry, so I can celebrate that at least.
If we go 1-0 up, we have a little moment. I'll be happy with that.
Yeah. So, no, honestly, I just think Derry's need is much better than Pats. They have the quality to beat Pats, and as Keane says, the game for Pats is next week. Absolutely huge, but we'll get into that next week. Drogheda take on Longford at United Park, and this is a big game, Keane, for Drogheda, because if they were to lose or draw this, a little bit of worry and panic might come into the situation for Drogheda. They've been a bit uneven with results the last few weeks, but more importantly, teams behind them, I keep saying, have been winning. Like Dundalk have leapfrogged them now, and Harps are actually level with them. And with Harps playing Waterford, you'd like to think from a Drogheda point of view that they really, really have to say to themselves, look, we have to win this game, guys. We have to take advantage here. And obviously, Longford, I still think Longford are going to take points off some teams, by the way. They're not going to go winless or even drawless till the end of the season, but with Waterford and Harps against each other this weekend, it's a massive opportunity for Drogheda to get 3 points. They'll feel like they have to get 3 points, I think.
Yeah, must win for Drogheda. Even if they don't win it, though, I still don't think they'll be down there. They'll get drawn into it a little bit. They'll under a little bit of pressure, but I don't think they'll have any worries. But it's a hard one, because Longford have nothing to play for at the minute, and you know it really is tough. I'm gonna go out with a draw to the win. It's not gonna be easy, but you know they'll have to work very, very hard for the 3 points. It's a weird one, because I think you have to work harder for 3 points against Longford than you do against probably Finn Harps or Waterford for some reason. I find you have to break them down that little bit more, and they sit that little bit deeper, and it's very tough to beat.
Are you under more pressure a little bit because they're bottom with 14 points?
Yeah, well,
when you played them.
Baz struggled against them twice, so he'll be better off telling you than me. But you know, I do think. Do you like that one? I just
save that one.
I think Drogheda have enough. Drogheda have enough to get through the game and to get 3 points. But like I said, it's not going to be. I'd be surprised if it's more than 3.
Yeah, I mean, Keno's right there, Daz. Longford have nothing really to play for at all, let's be honest, literally, except for pride. But it's a case of Drogheda trying to break them down. I think if Drogheda do get that first goal, they should be okay, because you know, it's very difficult to have that proper hunger and desire when you've nothing to play for. But at the same time, this is a pressure game for Drogheda as well. Like, they know in their heads they have to win it. And sometimes when you have to win a game, that pressure can be difficult to handle, Daz.
There's going to be a tremendous amount of pressure in Drogheda to pick up points here that everyone looking into this game around the league's coming and try to win nailed on. Absolutely. And like every time you play Longford now, you're going to be the team that's expected to pick up 3 points comfortably. But we all know, especially me being a Bowsman, that it's not really always the case. Longford are playing completely pressure-free. Any result they get is absolutely fantastic for them. If they lose 4, 5, 6-0, what of it? Like, they're still last, they're relegated, they're gone down, they're going to finish at the bottom. It doesn't really make much odds. But they're playing pride, determination, they're playing for themselves and their club, whereas other teams are playing for Europe. They're playing to keep players in contracts. They're playing to finish up higher in the league. They're looking at these games and there's nail on win. And like you said, when you're playing a team like that, there's so much pressure on you to win. There's so much pressure on your head to actually go out and like perform. And if Longford were to get nick a goal, it's going to be so hard to come back from that. And like, I wouldn't be surprised if they do it. But I think every week when if you're drawing against Longford, you're going to back yourself to win them. You're going to back yourself to get something out of the game. And that's where like predictions are going to fail a little bit and throughout the season, because Longford will pick up points. They will get a win for the season, so, and I hope they do. But it's not, they will. Like,
But if they play Bowls again,
no.
might be in trouble. So,
God, yeah, no, we struggle against them big time. They were a bogey team this season, and I've seen them firsthand.
Like, a few bogey teams this year, Dad.
Yeah, we've had a few bogey teams this year. I won't speak of them.
Waterford, Finn Harps, Drogheda. Pats. Well, that's expected, so I didn't mention that one. So
expected. But yeah, look, I don't see anything else other than a Drogheda win. Really, I think it's going to be 3-0 to Drogheda.
Do you think so? Yeah, I think it'll be tight, actually, to be fair. But you did make a good point there. Longford were to nick a lead in this game. It could be difficult for Drogheda to peg them back and get 2 goals. Let's be honest about it. But no, Drogheda for me as well. I think it'll be difficult, as Keane says. They'll break them down. I think they'll manage to nick it 1-0. And if Waterford were to lose or draw, it'd be a massive weekend for Drogheda. But move on to Shamrock Rovers and Sligo Rovers at Tallaght Stadium. And Shamrock Rovers obviously 9 points clear. Sligo are 4 points clear of Derry. They're hanging on to 3rd place there. It could be a difficult one for Sligo, but it's an important one for Sligo all the same.
Yeah, no, fairness, I think that's the problem with Rovers. I don't think after a defeat they've actually hit back and won, or after they've dropped points, they seem to draw 2 or lose 1 and draw 1. They never seem to bounce back really, and they never got into a rhythm this year. So I think it's going to be a very good game, and I think Sligo beat them up here as well 1-0 the last time. But as Daz can probably agree with me, it's going to be fantastic to see the away fans in Tallaght Stadium on Friday. I think there's going to be a fantastic crowd of Sligo going up, and it's probably the first time this year there's away fans in Sligo, is it? Or the away fans.
As you might be able to go to the one on Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, what a joke.
I'm actually growling you here today.
Yeah, poor Daz getting battered, isn't he, today?
The worst thing is I've got no comebacks.
Yeah. You'll get your revenge. It always comes around, Daz. Always comes around.
Not this year, hopefully. But, I think it's going to be a very good game. I think the two sides that are going to play football, Sligo aren't going to sit off. Sligo are going to come and play. And I think that's one thing with Liam Buckley. No matter what side he has on the pitch, no matter what side he puts out, he goes to play. He never sits back, and he goes to win the game. And I think there was nothing between them. There was one mistake from a throw in between them in the last game when Gaffney got in and scored. And that's the case most weeks probably with Rovers. You have to be there to take the goals, and the fairness they are. But it's going to be a tough game to call even. Rovers, it doesn't really make much of a difference really whether they win or lose. It's important for Sligo because they hit that blip. They would have been right up there beside Pats and 4th, 2nd and 4th would have been well sorted. It was just in case of which order. But the top 3 would have been sorted, and I think now it's wide open there. That 3rd spot is for anyone, I think. When Sligo gets something, I think if they get something, they'll put a statement down. It doesn't have to be a win. I think a draw would be great for them. But I don't know. I can see it being a draw. I can see Sligo possibly going ahead in the game. And then Rovers, kind of getting back into it and then kind of running out of ideas probably. Because we've seen that a lot this season. But I think they need to get Barry Cotter on the ball. And he needs to drive at them because he's electric. He really is. He's probably one player this year that I absolutely love. And I love watching him play.
Instant impact as well.
I think he's excellent.
Yeah.
And he's playing on the left. He's a right-footed player. And, he's playing on the left and he's fitted in there brilliant. And like not one person around Tallaght Stadium is mentioning Liam Scales. And usually we get that, we get the Jack Bourne and Adam McAniff is gone. We're still talking about them being gone. But we haven't mentioned Liam Scales is missing from the side once with Barry coming in. He was excellent. And I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think he's going to out-battle whoever plays on the right for Sligo. I think he's going to pin the fullbacks back. And I think he's going to pin, it's probably going to be Horgan or Banks, whoever plays right full on the night for Sligo. He's going to pin them right back. And I think he is, for some reason this year, I think he's Rovers' main threat. You wouldn't have thought a left wing back, a right-footed left wing back would be their main threat, but he's just so good on the ball. And then they have players that can hooch it, the likes of Graham Book. You have Richie Towell, who people have probably been giving a bit of stick to.
Yeah, seen that. That was only last week. I don't understand. I think he's been good overall, actually.
Yeah, I thought he's been fantastic. And,
yeah.
You have Mandrew, you like I said, Graham Book, you have Gaffney, who can't stop scoring at the minute. And, it's a really positive sign for Rovers that, like I would say in the last 3-4 years, this has probably been the poorest season, the worst season. And I don't mean that disrespectful. I'm actually
in terms of the way they've played overall, you mean in terms of
I'm commending them and shaking their hand because they're the top of the table and they're going to win the league, and they're going to win the league probably with 2 or 3 games to go, and without being great. And I think that's all you can really ask for, I suppose. But I'm going to go for a draw here. I think Sligo just might frustrate them that little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, that Sligo were kind of neck and neck with Pats for a good chunk of the season. What happened, Pats, was they got a lot of injuries, particularly in the back line and in midfield. And something similar happened Sligo, actually. The back line as well, and Miss Bulger. But Sligo haven't dealt with it as well as Pats have. As a result, they've kind of fell off there a little bit and they're clinging on to that third place. Can they hang on to it for you?
Yeah, look, I think I said, a few months ago that, when Pats had all them injuries, we were naming the players that actually played in the backs. And, you had central midfielders playing left back, you had left back central midfield, the young players coming in that never really played before. You had a bench full of youngsters, and Pats still pull results out. And that's why they are where they are in the league, and that's why they're consistent, and that's why they can, not really play at their best, shall we say, or missing players and still get results. And obviously that's the sign of a very, very good team. And that's not to say that Sligo aren't a very good team. They just didn't deal with it as well. And I think once they start getting 1 or 2 or 3 injuries to key players, like, the likes of their centre-backs going out injured, one of their full-backs was out there for quite a while. I think teams actually pinpointing them positions, exploiting them, and that's where they got goals. If you look back at highlights, you'll see a lot of the goals came from players that are not familiar in positions, players that are out, and new players that stepped in, that just didn't really have the best of games when they came in. And that's kind of, for me, where they kind of fell off a cliff a little bit in a way and threw away results that ordinarily they probably wouldn't have, which is unfortunate for them. Like, it's great to see where they're at in the league. And Keno brought up a great point there, so no one's really talking about Liam Scales. And we're not. I actually, myself, haven't actually mentioned it on the show, saying, God, Rovers are missing Scales now, who's going to come in? And it just shows what kind of a team Rovers have. But look, then again, it's easy when you have backing, it's easy when you have finances, it's easy when you have, a board in there that's going to bring in players when someone goes out, and Like it is, like, and they are where they're at, and they're expected to be where they're at, in my opinion. Like, you know, they would be no good if they were second or third, or even if they were first, but with 1 or 2 points in it. Like, they're at a level they're at now, and I think they need to sustain this going forward.
They have to be at least challenging for the title, properly challenged at the very least,
Yeah,
the way they are now,
which
the position they're in.
Which I think they will, and obviously they've got great players in every position. Like, they've got quality all around, and you know, it really shows it in games that they can bring players in. But I think looking at this game myself, like Rovers, obviously, you know, I wouldn't say they've got nothing to play for. Obviously, they're going to want to get as much points as they can. But do they bring in a few more players, maybe give players that are on the bench a bit of a chance now, like, you know, to play? I don't know if they'll do that or not. I think they'll stick with the team that's been winning all season. But I think it's going to be very hard for Sligo. I would love them to win, definitely. I'll always love any team to beat Rovers. But look, I think with my head's going to say it's going to be a slim 1-0 Shamrock Rovers win. I think Sligo are going to give them a very tough game. I think the scale goal for Rovers come very late on. So I think it's going to be a tight 1-0 win for Shamrock Rovers.
Yeah, I think Shamrock Rovers will win it myself. So, yeah, I've gone for 1 draw this week, by the way, just so people know that 1 draw out of 5. Yeah.
We mightn't have Daz for the weekend. So, what does he think on Monday? What does he think the score is going to be?
Go on, quick one on Monday.
We mightn't have him, you see.
2-1 the Bows.
2-1 the Bows. Fair enough. We'll see. All right, lads, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're new and hit your bell notification button so you don't miss a video. And good stuff, boys. Well done. Olé, 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 olé.